This is all you need to know to reach 1000 ELO in chess. Strategies, tactics, openings, plans, and the 3 steps to apply in every game. All this in 6 spicy games where I explain every single move. Let's go. To make things more interesting, I will be playing a different opening at every move. I think since we are 2 Italians, I will play an Italian game. Let's go. Let's see, now they can go with the bishop on f4 or with the knight here. This is a move that usually you shouldn't play, because in the opening you shouldn't push too many pawns, especially when they are not helping you to control the center. And this move doesn't really have a purpose. So on my side, I can keep following my own plan, which is always control the center, develop all the pieces, castle. So I guess we just castle the king. Next moves will be something like d4, rook e1, knight out. Okay, now we understand the plan of the move a6 was to play the move b5, attacking this bishop, which has to move one more time, but you're not really getting any advantage by pushing the b pawn, because yes, that's true, maybe you can develop the bishop in fianchetto, but the bishop on this diagonal is not as powerful as it would be somewhere else, because it's hitting on a blocked pawn. I'm looking at the move d4. Because if your opponent is not taking care of development, you might want to attack the center, open up immediately. Also the move knight g5, to be fair, is a move that we need to calculate, because how do you defend the fried lever? Usually the best move is the move d5, but this is an improvement for me. Because first of all, I've already castled, while black has been just pushing those pawns. And second, my bishop on c4, well, my bishop is no longer on c4, but on b3, where is protected. So now d5 is the only move again, protecting the fried lever, but now I take. And knight takes d5 is a mistake. Important. In chess, we have principles. In chess, we have ideas. But chess is a concrete game. You have to calculate and be sure that in the precise situation we are in, the same tactic works. Because when the bishop is on c4 and the pawn is on b7, now I can sacrifice my knight. And after king takes, I can give this check, attacking the knight and giving a check to the king. If the king moves anywhere, I can take back the piece, I will be having a winning position. Only move remaining is king e6, protecting the knight. I can play knight c3 to attack this knight one more time, and they can protect it with the knight. And then I can go with the move d4. I think with this king on e6, there is no way that I can save, so I'm going for the sacrifice. But remember, chess is a concrete game. If you apply general ideas of other openings in another position, you risk to blunder really, really badly. So don't forget to go concrete and calculate. Now, king is gonna take, I think. There is not really any other possibility because the knight is attacking the queen and the rook at the same time. So the only move that makes sense is to take with the king. But now I'm going to give this check. Now if the king tries to hide behind the pawn, actually this is gonna be a checkmate very quickly. Because we can just take here, after the queen takes, we take with the bishop, only move bishop e6, we take, and this checkmate. But okay, they are playing the right move, which is protecting this knight with the king. I'm just developing, attacking the knight one more time. When you sacrifice, remember, you have to be fast. If we just let this position simplify, trade off pieces, go to an endgame, I'm piece down, I'm lost. But it's very important to exploit the weaknesses that black is having. For example, this king in the middle of the board. That's why I'm gonna play immediately to move d4. Opening up the e-file, I'm ready to go with the rook to give a check. Even if I'm a piece down, this position looks extremely promising for me. Also, in the moment, right now, this knight is attacked how many times? 1, 2, 3. Of course, if I can take back that knight, I will do that. But it's protected 3 times, so I'm not winning anything. But now that I give this check, where is the king moving while keeping this knight protected 3 times? It's impossible. In fact, now I can at least take this knight. But I want to evaluate shortly if I have something even better. For example, bishop here, or knight check. Both moves are good, but I prefer by far to take the piece back Also, my knight was under attack. And now bishop f4 is coming and there is no knight that can take my bishop. Okay, they're taking, but this is a self-mate because I take with the queen and this is a kiss of death. GG's. New game, we have the black pieces. And many people struggle with the black pieces. Now, my opponent played 1b3, which is something that you should be very happy, because what you can do is simply go for the center. First, put a pawn on the e file, and then you want to push the other pawn. But this one is under attack. Don't forget, chess is a concrete game. So always ask, what is their threat? Now, this pawn is hanging, so I just develop a piece while protecting it. Multitasking, good move. If I can, my next move is gonna be d5. You might be wondering, what is the reason, the idea of this b3 move? And the plan is that they want to put this bishop on this big diagonal, and usually what white is doing is attacking the defensor of that pawn by playing e3 and bishop b5. This is called Nimzowitsch-Larsen attack. We need to be a bit careful and make sure that this pawn stays protected. Interesting. They are playing the move g3. They want to develop also the other bishop in fianchetto. Now, in order to get to 1000 elo, it's very important that you follow 3 steps. The number 1 is to learn how to get a good position in every opening, despite what your opponent is playing. And how do you achieve that? By knowing the opening principles, control the center. Optimally, you do it by putting 2 pawns in the center of the board. Develop your pieces. Optimally, now we have a perfect development for me. The perfect way to get a good position. 2 pawns in the center, the knight's out, and then you still need to go with the bishops. And you can go there or even a bit forward, it depends. And then to castle, of course. Bring the queen up, connect the rooks, bring the rooks to semi-open or open files, and we got a good position. Things are not always perfect, so don't forget to be concrete and think at every move. What is the threat? What is their plan? We need to shortly check if after, for example, bishop here, they can play the move g4. And then after we move the bishop, g5. Because if we move this knight, we might lose this bishop. This pawn, attacked by the bishop. That's why chess is always concrete. Now, if I play bishop here, and they push, I go there, after pawn takes, I can still go forward with my knight. Also, the queen is still protecting this pawn. So the only thing that I don't have to play is knight d7. But if I see I have many options, I can go out with that bishop. But actually, I prefer to first go out with this one, because I'm ready to castle, and then I will bring also this bishop out. And we go exactly where we said. We're ready to castle. We could also castle long. I will play queen d2, queen d7. And I'm ready to castle short or long. Depends what my opponent wants to play. I think a normal way to keep going for them would be to go out with the knights. This system to develop the pieces is called hippopotamus. It's a bit of a passive way to develop all your pieces, but it's a system. You're fully developed, you're ready to castle as well. The problem is that while white will be having pieces on 3 lines, I will have 4 lines, so I have more space. But let's start to talk about step number 2, which is what do we do after we get to a good position? Unfortunately, my opponent decided to abandon this game, but we will see step number 2 in the next one, which has a very sweet application of it. So every time you can, please make sure to place 2 pawns in the center of the board. If your opponent is not challenging you with the move e5 or c5, go for it, 2 pawns in the center. Now, they're immediately attacking your pawn. So we have a few options, either we take or we push or we defend. In this precise case, I really like to take, because the only piece that can take back is the queen. And once the queen moves, you shouldn't move the queen out too early, especially if the queen can be attacked. Now I'm moving my knight, developing a piece, the queen has to go back. So in this position, I already won quite some time. I have already 2 knights out while my opponent doesn't have much. And this is the difference between playing for tricks or just play good moves and your opponent not playing the ideal moves. You might win very quickly because there might be some problems. For example, I'm already calculating the move d5. I'm also looking at rook e1, just improving my position even more. If the move d5 doesn't work or doesn't really have a clear reason, I should go for probably rook e1 or bishop out. Normal development moves. Don't forget that before striking, you should be ready with all your pieces. The more pieces you bring to the game, the strongest is your army. So I will go with rook e1, just a simple move, bringing the rook. They are trading the bishop. I'm very happy to take back. And now I already have a small advantage, which is the bishop pair. Those two bishops can control all the squares over the board. And this bishop in particular, if here, is stopping the king from castling. This could be an idea that we can use in this position. Also, we might simply go with the bishop g5, especially if we can then pin this knight. But I will show first another type of move, which is the move h3. It's a move that is usually very useful when the bishop is there, because you're forcing black to take a decision. And now they're taking, so we take back, we're attacking this pawn. And yes, I think we get to step number 2. We are castled, we have developed almost all the pieces. Don't forget that the bishop is actually a semi-developed piece. Because even if it's right now not out of his starting square, he's already controlling so many squares. So we can say that we have completed the development, or almost completed the development. Then step number 2, win material. How do you win material? 1, opponent is blundering. Amazing. Other way is play the middle game in a way to choose the right plan and consistently improve your position. Of course, this is a big concept. We'll try to see it specifically through the next games. Now, the knight is out. What is the idea of their move? Probably protect the rook, which was under attack. I'm playing now the move bishop a3. Why? Because I'm keeping the king in the middle of the board. The king is stuck. I'm already starting to see some nice sacrifices. For example, what about bishop take e6? After pawn takes, the rook is taking. And the king doesn't have many squares. But of course, we need to be precise, concrete, and calculate. Because it seems like the king is almost checkmate, but there is still king f7. Okay, now, do you want to trade queens in this situation, yes or not? Remember, usually when you start playing chess, you love to trade. Because trades are simplifying the position. But always remember to ask, is this trade better for me or for my opponent? And in this situation, the trade is definitely better for black. Because black has a king stuck in the middle of the board. And with the queens, we can checkmate them. In general, when you have more material, you like trades. So the trade of queen is not a catastrophe because we have an extra pawn. But to win a position with just an extra pawn is not super easy. Also, we have 2 double pawns, so it's not gonna be simple to create a pawn that can just go to promote and become a queen. That's why I really love to keep the queen on the board right now. And now actually rook takes is even stronger because it's with a check. And after pawn takes, I now can take with the queen. And the king is almost running out of squares. So let's calculate. Rook takes, pawn takes, king takes. The king has no other square than the one on d8. And then we have a check with the bishop and a check with the queen. The king is anyway going to c8, and then we don't have any more check from there. The king is quite well protected by the 2 knights. So it's a little bit too early for that. I'm thinking about the move rook b1, which is, I love it. It's just attacking the queen, improving the rook is on an open file, again winning the tempo on the queen, which is now going to be trapped. What is black going to play after rook b7? The queen has no squares to go. Yeah, the queen is trapped, is lost. And always we need to look for this sacrifice. Once you win consistent material, like in this situation, your opponent might resign. One more game, we have the black pieces, and white is playing the move e4. I have a very quick suggestion for you. If you like to be solid, to play positional, go with the move e5. If you like to be aggressive, go for the move c5. If we can, we will try both of them. Now, let's get started with the Sicilian defense. What is the idea of this opening? The core idea is that we want to stop white from placing 2 pawns in the middle of the board. But if they do it, we want to take with the c pawn, so that at the end of the day, we will still have 2 central pawns to put in the middle. That's the idea. Bishop c4 is usually not a good idea in this opening. I will just go with the knight out, which is a typical way to develop this knight. And the point is that this diagonal is often going to be closed. Okay, knight here is actually a good move. Let's play the move e6. This bishop is in danger on c4 because how black is going to develop is by usually playing the move d5 or b5. And we are just winning a free tempo on that bishop. Okay, white is actually playing very well. It makes lots of sense. White wants to play the move d4 anyway, but being able to take with the knight. And that's what they are doing. Okay, I will develop this knight. I'm attacking this pawn. And let's see what they do. How do they protect this pawn? Because pushing is not possible because it's a free cheese macaroni. Defending with the knight would be probably the natural move. But they decide to defend with the f-pawn. And this seems very dangerous. So I could develop the bishop on c5. Yeah, I really like this a lot. I will go with the bishop here. I'm just attacking this knight one more time. The knight needs to be moved on or be protected. And if this knight moves, for example, taking here, I will simply take back with the pawn towards the center. And they can no longer castle. Now, the problem of the move f3 and a c3 is that f3 has been weakening all these diagonals. This is a problem. Now they cannot castle because probably e5 will be terrible. And with the move c3, they are controlling the square where the knight would like to go. So what do I play now with the black pieces? There are many moves that I could play, but I want to go with the move castle. First of all, don't forget to ask at every move, what's their threat? And with the move c3, you surely need to consider what if they do b4 and then maybe even b5. And this is not a problem for me, so I can just keep going with my development. Now, I was also giving them a chance to make a blunder, because a natural move like castle doesn't look any good after the move e5. Pinning, well, attacking with a pawn a piece that is pinned, basically winning a piece. And the only way to try to save is exactly this move. But after b4, we can simply go back with the knight, with the bishop. And if the pawn is pushing even forward, we will just move the knight away. We will not rush. We will not take here, because if we take the knight, they take our knight. But the knight is pinned, it's there forever. So we first save our knight. Probably we will go on a5. And then we will take the knight later on. And that's what we do. Everything according to plan, I would say. The knight is attacking the bishop, now the bishop has to move, and then we won a piece. So I think we are ready to introduce step number 3. Before that, since my opponent is thinking an eternity, make sure to subscribe, so I know that you want to see more videos like this one. And now let's go to see step number 3. How to convert a winning position to an actual win. First of all, take the free cheese macaroni, because this is how you get a winning position. I would say every time you have at least 2 extra pawns, your position should be winning. How do we convert? By trying to checkmate the king in every situation. We need to look for the checkmate. But if you can't checkmate the king, every trade makes your position easier. And there is another free bishop for us, also attacking the rook, also this knight is still hanging. I like to make an example like in football. In football, if you play like 11 versus 10, it's an advantage, but definitely 2 versus 1 is way stronger. So yeah, GG's. Okay, now we could have won a third piece, so the advantage would have been really massive. Okay, we have again the black pieces, and I promised a new opening every time, so we go with d4, e5. The knight is attacking the pawn, we protect it with the knight. Okay, we have an Italian game, and again two Italians. So we go with the 2 knights defense, inviting the fried liver, which they are not playing. They're rather going for the Italian game, protecting the pawn with d3 followed by the move c3 maybe. Let's see. I will go out with my bishop, ready to castle. They are castling, we are castling as well. Okay, bishop here. This is a very strong move, because you're pinning the knight, and if this knight is coming to d5, this is gonna be very painful for me. That's why I really like in this situation to play the move h6. Asking a very clear question. What do you want to do? And now either they keep on this diagonal or they go back. Since they go back, we have to now ask another question. What's their threat? This bishop is hanging. So we have different ways to deal with the bishop. We could protect it with the pawn. But then you need to deal with 2 pawns doubled here. I prefer to go back with the bishop here. Because it's true, after the trade, I'm still going to have 2 double pawns. But I took with the pawn towards the center. This pawn is now upgraded, plus my rook is open. So this is actually very nice for black. I'm happy with it. Now, I still need to complete my development. So I'm going out with my bishop as well. And I might want to do the same plan as white tried. And they're allowing me to do. This plan, guys, is so good, so powerful. Now my knight is getting here, pinning this knight. This knight cannot take, because goodbye, queen. Oh my lord. Oh, or my queen, sorry. So, okay, they are taking here, but this is also not good, because trades are always in favor of someone. And in this case, it's definitely my queen. My queen is joining the party, joining the game. And now there are 3 pieces attacking this point. And I can do everything here. I have a fork. I could take here with the bishop, because after pawn takes, I take with the knight, and it's a fork. But I will just take with the knight. I'm giving a fork. I will just show you that in this position, there is no way to stop check. And, well, the king cannot move, so the queen has to go here. And this checkmate in 1 move. GG's. We might be already the final game of this video, so I promised every opening, so I'm going for the London system. We will go with the bishop out on f4. What is the idea of this opening? Also in this opening, white wants to develop all the pieces. There is one thing we need to be careful, is what if they try to play g4 and to drop our bishop? Okay, we need to be really careful, because I think here they are setting up a trap. And the trap is that they might want to play the move e5, followed by the move e4, doing a fork. Okay, in this case, this is not... Oh, attention, if we go with the bishop here, they played this move. But not really, because the pawn is just hanging. Okay, so we can keep going with our development. In the London system, like in every opening, you want to develop all your pieces, and you do it in always a bit the same system. You go out with the bishop, now we take always towards the center, we have already an open h-file. Then usually you play also the move c3, because you want to protect this bishop from any attack. And by the way, what about this pawn being hanging? They need to do something about it. Generally, white is completing the development with knight d2, queen on e2, and taking free cheese macaroni, like on g6, because if the pawn takes, the rook behind is hanging. So they already need to move the king, and they will not be able to castle anymore. Okay. Now, this pawn is still pinned. We could consider about taking here with the rook and just trade off, win a second pawn. If we don't do that, we should probably just develop the knight, develop the queen. But if we don't take this pawn right now, they will play the move h6. And then we don't win the second pawn. So it's a good moment to just, when you can, it's free, juicy, take it. We take back, we attack the knight, so they have to either move it or defend it, they are moving it away. And now we have to keep going. I will go with the queen here, aiming to go closer to the king, and then I will go also with the knight out and play long castle. Where would you place the rook? Okay, when you have 2 extra pawns and you can trade, you go for the trades. This trade is helping me so much, because this bishop is also out of the game. Imagine after rook here, this bishop could end up being trapped. So I'm taking, they have to take with a pawn, and now their pawn structure is completely destroyed. They have 2 double pawns, this pawn is hard to be protected because needs to be protected by pieces or this pawn. Now we complete the development, we castle, and the rook. Where is the rook going to be? On the open file. There is just one open file here, h. That's why rook e8 was a mistake. Would have been so much better to bring the rook on the h8, so I couldn't put mine on h1. The idea of the king is amazing. So we need to see step number 3 in this game. I have 2 extra pawns, but I can't just win saying like, hey, arbiter, I have 2 extra pawns. Alessia says that this is a winning position. Please give me the win. No, we have to convert it. And we saw already that trades are good for us. But what if we cannot trade? Well, you gotta improve every single piece. What is a piece that is doing absolutely nothing for me? This knight. This knight is in holidays. Is like an Italian working for the state. No, I'm sorry. But I'm also right. Sometimes, yeah. So, knight goes on the side, and we are attacking this pawn. And now we give also this other knight a way to join the game. This move is very smart, pinning our knight. I will improve my knight. Yeah. They're moving the king. So I can't take this pawn because my rook is unprotected. So how do we improve my position, the position? We could play rook here, because now the knight is finally having a purpose, protecting the rook. So now this pawn is really hanging. Do we take it? I bet we do. 3 pawns is a very good advantage. Now we take back with the knight. If the bishop is taking, happy to take back. Don't forget in every situation to ask what's their idea, because they could have some sneaky ideas with this knight to go there, queen here, and almost checkmate us. So I will go back with the knight immediately to the game, because sorry, I got shortly scared. Guys, you didn't say anything. There was a queen hanging since 2 million years. Probably you saw that. Probably you're just thinking, Alessia, we all saw except you. Okay, let me know in the comments. I'm taking the queen. I know it's kind of easy to convert because I can just go to give a check. Yeah, give a check, take this pawn, and push it to a promotion. GG's. Good luck on your road to 1000 ELO. If you enjoyed this video, go check out this other one. I play only the London system, the final opening we played here. Check it out. This opening is extremely aggressive. Thank you for watching.